The seventh P is process, and process is the how. Now that you have gone through one, two, three, four, five, and six, this is the how, right? We talked about the why, the what, the who, and what people are going to take away from your book. Now we're going to put it all together, the process of writing it. Now that you were aware of all it takes to tell your story, let's put it together, right? The first element is writing the vision for the content. And how do you lay out the structure for the story, for your message, for your expertise, for your experience, whatever you're going to tell, whether you're writing a memoir, or you're writing a devotional, or you're writing a book of short stories, or you're writing a poetry book, it all kind of has the same layout. Some might be a little bit different from others, but you always want to know, where do you start? Where do you end? Those are two of the components that need to be clear, right? Where am I starting my story? Where am I ending it? How do I start this devotional? How do I end it? How do I start my book of poetry? How do I end it? So no matter what you are writing, you want to know where to start and you want to know where to end. So now let's put that all together in a very, very simple layout. And so this is the power of the pen layout. It is a little different from doing an outline for your story. I find that this is simple. For all the years I've been doing this, what I have done is taken outlines that I've seen in different places and just put it together in this format that is very simple. And looking at this format, you'll be able to see how easy it is to write a book, even if this is the first time you are writing. So I want to draw your attention to the components in the center that is on either side of you, right? So you are in the middle right here. This book is about you and the content that you are writing, so you're placed in the middle. The boxes on either side of you, to the left and right of you, are very important. And so is the box at the top and at the bottom. But let me just draw your attention to number one, right? There is no particular reason why that is at the bottom, and then two is on the opposite side, and three is above, and four is the conclusion. It circles you, right? And that's just how my brain think, and I think it really makes sense when once you flesh it out. So the very first thing in your book is your hook. How are you going to hook the reader in? Tell me something that is going to make me want to read the book to the very end. And it doesn't matter what type of book you're writing. Hook me in with something that is going to keep me interested. Even if you're writing a devotional, tell me the reason why you wanted to write it. What happened in your life that you understood that you needed that devotion to take you through to where you are right now? Right? If it's your memoir, or if it's an experience, or if it is an expertise, tell me why you decided that you were going to write it. What happened that is important? What happened that is compelling that will make me want to read the book? What happened in your life that was devastating? Or what happened in your life that was incredible that you want to share? That's the hook. That's how you hook me in. That is the first element of your book, the hook. That is a chapter. It is not just a paragraph. Your hook is the opening chapter. That's what I want you to think about. The opening chapter of your book is the hook. Tell me about a story. Even if you're writing a devotional, I want to read something in that very first chapter that is going to tell me why you decide to write this devotion, right? So hook me in with something that is interested. I want to know that, because story is something that everyone relates to. And so that's the first element of your book, the hook. Then the second element is the body. The body of your story is the chronological components. So if you're hooking me in with something that is amazing that has happened to you, or something that's devastating that happened, or something that is just mind blowing, something that is good, if you're writing a weight loss book and on your own you lost a significant amount of weight, I want to hear that first. All right, because that's going to keep my attention. Now, the body of your story is the bulk of your story. And usually I want that in chronological order. What happened between ages 0 to 10, ages 10 to 20, ages 20 to 30, ages 30 to 40, and so on and so forth? Tell me, give me a little background. So the hook is telling me a moment in time where something happened that is going to draw my attention. In the body, you're going to take me back. Take me back on the journey of you. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. Tell me a little bit about your parents. If you're writing a devotional, I keep saying devotional because it's different from a memoir. So if it's a devotional, in the body, you're going to now list the devotional, the devotion, the scriptures, the content, the prayer, the guided journal questions, all of that would be the body of your story. Then you get to the resolution. If there was a problem in the hook and you took me back and gave me the foundation of who you are, then the third section of your book is how you resolved it. So the hook may have been the problem. The body is where you're taking me back so I can understand a little bit more about you and the characters in your book. The resolution is how the hook got resolved. Again, let me take you back. If you're writing a devotional, the hook is this amazing thing that led you to write this book about, scriptures and devotion. The body is the content of the devotion. The resolution is, what am I going to do with all of this that you share with me? I'm going to use this as my inspiration for 31 days or 60 days or 90 days or 120 days or 365 days, right? That might be the result that I get when I read your devotional. Regarding your memoir, the resolution is how things got resolved. And the conclusion is the takeaway. What is in this for me? Are there resources that you can add in the section of the conclusion that I can utilize, that will benefit me, that I can reach out to someone, that I can connect with you as a resource? And that's your book. The hook, the body, the resolution, and the conclusion. Very, very simple. If you can think about your book this way, it is as easy as putting your book together. Now, if you notice, there's a title and subtitle and the introduction, and it's on the top of the page. So why didn't I tell you to start there? Well, you don't have to have the title to start writing the book. You don't have to write the introduction until the book is complete. As a matter of fact, that would be a best practice. Your introduction is written last, because your introduction is an overview of what is in the book and why you are presenting this book in the first place. So you don't want to write your introduction before you write your book. Get the content of your book together first. And then you present us with the introduction, although the introduction comes right after the subtitle and the title and elements like your dedication and acknowledgments and stuff like that. So your introduction comes right before your very first chapter, which is the hook, but it's the thing that you are going to write last. And if you notice, I put something called the parking lot. So a lot of times when we are writing, as we're in the midst of our writing, we may have a memory that all of a sudden come to play. And so a lot of people will restart or start over or try to fit it in somewhere. No, that will just take you too long to get your work done. And sometimes that is what stops people from even writing, because there's too many things in their mind, too much going on. So as you're writing, if you're in the midst of writing and a thought come to mind that you had forgotten as you're writing, just put it in the parking lot. Just remember and stop what you're doing, create a separate sheet of paper or a different place and just call it parking lot and just bullet point that memory. Continue writing. And when you are done, go back to your parking lot to see how many things did I park in my parking lot? And is it relevant to the story as a whole? Would it make a difference? Is it a difference maker or breaker to the story for me to add those memories that I had as I was writing that are now living in the parking lot? And if they are, and if they're relevant to the current story, then find where it fits. It may fit in the body, it may fit in the resolution. So find the right place that your parking lot items fit and you can put it in. However, if it is not relevant to the story, if it doesn't make or break the story, and it's merely one small incident that really doesn't impact the story, you don't have to put it in it at this time. I also want to say to you that when you're writing a memoir or if you're writing a story about your life, don't try to jam everything in one book. You may have two books, right? You may have book one and book two, and that's even more powerful. People love short reads. And so you don't want to have a book that is 70,000 words and 400 pages because people may not find it interesting to read. So, in a case like that, where you have this magnificent story that you want to share, your entire life experience, break it up into different books, volume one, volume two, volume three, or volume one and volume two. And then that way you are just creating one on top of the other. Another good thing about doing it that way is that once you get the credibility and the visibility of book one and you leave people on a cliffhanger, people know that there is a second book coming. Oh, the marketing already start, because once they read that book and see that there's a cliffhanger and you suggest that there might be another book coming, you already have a built-in audience for book number two. So it just makes it exciting. So I would say to you, if you have a very long memoir that you want to write, I would suggest in this space as you're writing, break it up in two parts and write book one, book two. If it is not that long and if it is an experience that is powerful and it all can be shared in one book, then do it in one book, but don't make it too lengthy. I would say 45,000 to 50,000 words is a good number of words for an average book. That might be about a 5 hour read, 4.5 to 5 hours. And it might be about 250 to 300 pages. That's a good size book to have, especially if it's a story or a memoir. In devotionals, those are a little shorter. Because it's more scripture, it's prayer, it's a theme, it's a feeling, it's a guided journal type book. So you'll find that it's not as wordy as a memoir, but use this structure. It is very, very simple. And it's a surefire way of you to just gather your information and put it all together under these headings. Now, the most important thing to do is to take the structure and get a whiteboard in your home or wherever you are in your office. Get a whiteboard and use the same heading, and under each of those heading, bullet point what you want to put under each of them. So if it is the hook and you want to talk about this amazing experience or this not so good experience, bullet point that experience, put it under the hook. Once you get to the body, if you're going to use chronological order, just like I said earlier, what happened at 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and you put those on bullet points on your whiteboard under the body of your story. In the resolution, how did whatever happened to you in the hook got resolved? You bullet point that and you put it under resolution. The conclusion is the takeaway, resources, a guide, a journal, a reference. How did the story end? How did it all make sense at the end? How are you now? What was the conclusion of your life? What was the amazing thing that ended up happening after all of the story is told? You put that in bullet points under the conclusion. And once you have your bullet points, then you can start writing. And so now, once you write your hook, you can erase that from your whiteboard. As you go to the body and you're writing your chronological order experiences, as soon as you're done with one, you erase. And that's how you start, right? And that's how you're able to lay out something very, very simple, as opposed to doing this, overwhelming layout, right? Or overwhelming storytelling structure that sometimes derail people from writing their book. I'm sorry. So I hope this helps.